You're welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching Business Morning coming to you live from Yenagoa, the capital of Bayelsa State, where the first ever Bayelsa State Investment Forum is underway. Looking at the theme of that event, it is unlocking Bayelsa economic potentials, opportunities and challenges. We're now been joined by the Group Managing Director of Bayelsa Development and Investment Corporation. He is Tam Alaziga. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
And of course, we also have with us here Frida Murray-Bruce. She is the Director General of the Bayelsa Investment Promotion Agency. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
I know that a lot of events are going on at the same time. We're going to have the inspection of some projects here in the state to be, shown to the Vice President later. But I want us to start on this note, starting from Tam. When we'll talk about the Bayelsa Development Investment Corporation, what it's really all about?
Okay. The Bayelsa Development and Investment Corporation, BDIC, is the private sector enabler for the state. We're set up to do three basic things. First of all, to make money for the state. That is very important. And also act as a catalyst, for socio-economic and infrastructure development. That's the second thing. And the third thing really is to manage the assets of the state. As you know, the state has several businesses, over 23 businesses, a huge asset base of around $1.2 billion, which is about 200 million. So naira, 200 billion, sorry, naira. And these assets have to be effectively managed and leveraged to drive economic development, infrastructure development, create jobs, increase standard of living, and really improve on the economy. Really, as you know, our economy is mono-income and sort of mono-business, because the biggest business in the state is the government, and our income really is from oil and gas revenue from FAC allocation. So if we are able to leverage all these assets, and act as that partnership vehicle that the government uses to partner with the private sector, both large and small, we can now begin to grow different sectors in our economy, build big businesses, and grow brands that hopefully will become global.
Okay, Frida, is the head of the Bayelsa Investment Promotion Agency. How do you intend to drive these investments into those businesses or business opportunities that we have here in the state?
Thank you very much. I think that can be quickly defined by looking at what BIPA is set up to do. Our first port of call is to ensure we have data on the opportunities in Bayelsa, so that any investor coming in at any time in the various sectors can be told these are the opportunities in these sectors and this is how you can plug into that. Another thing that we do is that we ensure that we have investment forums like this for us, where we can go either locally, internationally, or the ones we host, and sell and showcase all that we have. And the third is to ensure that when people come, we actually ensure that they come, their investments actually start, and they are retained in a sustainable manner in the state's economy. So for us, ours is to make sure we go out there and we look for the right people. A lot of times, people come into the state, and when you begin to break down their desires, they end up being contractors or consultants. But as a developing economy, our key focus is actually core investments. So we work in a very collaborative way in the state. So if I get a proposal from a corporation, mostly foreign, and if I'm not sure of the terms that they're asking, I would call the group MD here and I say, hey, Tam, this is what I'm seeing. What do you think? And he says, oh, no, those terms are onerous to our economic development, to sustainable growth. And then we refuse that. So we are very, very determined to ensure that we get the best quality of real investors who have long-term plans. So we make sure that anybody coming into the state is really here for the long haul. Because to have growth in a state like a virgin territory like ours, it's not for people who want to put in money and run out. It's for those who want to grow with us. And those are the efforts we make when we source them, to make sure that those are their visions in terms of their own global outreach.
Okay, Tom, let me come to you. I know that the Bayelsa State government just opened an investment corporation in an office in London and also in South Africa. What is the aim of all of this?
Okay, we want to be global. Like the governor mentioned yesterday, we want to take Bayelsa to the world, and we also want to bring Bayelsa, bring the world to Bayelsa. So in order to do that, we thought about where we can put footprints and anchor ourselves and leverage in order to attract the necessary investments, necessary investors, and where we can also invest, as we diversify our economy. And we thought of UK as one of them because, UK is one of the financial capitals, like UK. And we can also leverage relationships with the Commonwealth since we are also a Commonwealth country. So we've actually been very successful because right after we opened the UK office, we launched, we had the chairman of the Commonwealth Business Council in the UK, Lord Maitland, also attend. And as an offshoot, we're being invited to participate in an investment conference in Glasgow next week. They're also trying to put together all our big infrastructure projects so that we can sell them to other members of the Commonwealth, Australia, Canada, for example. Now, the case for South Africa is also similar. I mean, we want to draw examples. At the time when we made the move, South Africa was the biggest economy in Africa. And so when we think of sub-Saharan Africa, we know they've done well with the infrastructure. There's a lot for us to learn, which is another focus area for us. We also know they've done extremely well in tourism and hospitality, and we want to learn a lot from them. And we also notice that the same kind of institutions that we're trying to do as a state, they as a country have pioneered and done well. Case in point being the development finance institutions, which, by the way, by the opening of the office, were able to build a relationship with South Africa's IDC, which is the Industrial Development Corporation. And we're gaining a lot of mileage from our partnerships with them because they're helping us provide funding for our big ticket transactions. So those two moves alone, we're beginning to reap a lot of dividends. And we intend to open other offices when we find need to do so. We're not shy, we're doing things differently. We're aggressively pursuing investments and investors. We're aggressively selling Bayelsa and its potential. Case in point, this first economic investments and economic forum.
Okay, Frida, you're trying to attract investors and businesses, and you want them to go into marriage with you, a business partnership. What are those incentives that you're willing to offer them that would make them to stay long enough to help develop Bayelsa State?
Okay. I think we have various incentives, and some of these incentives are actually sectoral incentives. First of all, we look at what we consider our own fragile industries. And of course, once you have fragile industries, those are industries that you always want real investors to come into. Like we talk about trying to develop our energy sector. We try to talk about our, the oil and gas allied industries. You even talk about our agriculture, because agriculture is always a catalyst for growth anyway. So when we come to those sectors, we want to make sure that we have certain tax breaks, certain tax discounts, and even leveraging on our relationship to ensure we can get even some additional federal government incentives that can actually encourage them to come into Bayelsa. A lot of things we do at this time is that we are working on a case-by-case basis for a lot of these high-level things. But on a general note, we are willing to sometimes, on a general note, we will always help with community relationships. That's a given, to make sure that anybody coming can actually have access. And of course, we provide land for a fair bit of our projects. And even where we don't provide land based on the terms of the contract, we actually ensure that we assist the investors with land acquisition and all the paperwork and all the processes with the local community. Of course, security is a serious thing that we take very seriously in Bayelsa, and we make sure that anybody coming into Bayelsa, that Bayelsa understands, and we know that we are responsible for ensuring both the safety of the people and the safety of the investment as well. Maybe Tammy can help me. My mind is just a bit blank right now. But we do have tons of investment. But like I said, most of them tend to be on a case-by-case basis. But the bigger the ticket, the more the concessions, including, for example, access roads. those infrastructure that the people would need, because in Bayelsa, as you know, we're trying to open up the state. There's a lot of growth and a lot of development, and as we are trying to go into the hinterlands and into the deeper local government areas, if somebody is trying to acquire land at a place that is not open, then the government is willing to provide the facilities to ensure that that business actually comes on board. And when necessary, we also make provision for energy, because we know that their energy needs excess, especially for our big ticket items, like our industrial parks and the big firms. So we try to make sure there's access to gas that will help grow the energy, will help grow and sustain the business in that form.